Thank you for tuning in to Love in Your Hands with Cynthia Clark, soulmate palmist, spiritual teacher, love coach, author, and speaker. We're sharing stories of love and connection and lessons learned along the way. This podcast is sponsored by loveinyourhands.com, the place to ignite soulmate love fast using an innovative system to help you end loneliness and toxic relationships and elevate your vibrational energy to soulmate love and deeply compatible partners. Get started for free at loveinyourhands.com. And now here's your host, Cynthia Clark.
Hello there, everyone. This is Cynthia Clark. I am your palm reading expert and love compatibility coach. And I am super excited today to talk about very important things relating to your future and where are we going with everything. It's going to be really fun. And I have a very special guest that I'll be bringing in here shortly. But first, I want to actually talk a little bit about palm reading because, of course, that is my passion and my specialty. And I have to do a little story today. I'm going to digress a little bit from my normal because there was a gift that I received recently from my mom. And she was actually just going through her drawers and she found some old papers that were mine from when I was a child. And one of the things that she found was an actual hand photo of my 5-year-old hand. And I was just like, this was the best gift I ever could have received. So this is my hand when I was 5. For those of you who are just listening and can't see it, we have beautiful hands when we're children, and our hand shapes don't actually form their final shape until we are about 6 or 7 years old. And so this is before I had my final hand shape, and it's just so neat to see these things. And one of the things that she also included was some homework assignments that I had done when I was very young as well. And I want to read this to you because it's going to be applicable to our topic today. So don't worry, it's not too long. Okay, so I wrote this in my paper. Today, I was just sitting in the cave with a few other family members. And since I was bored, I thought I'd put my hand in the wall. Everyone thought that was a good idea, so they did it too. My mother said she would like her grand and great-grandchildren to someday see her hand and ask about her. That way, she will always be remembered and her spirit will never die. Now that my hand is in the wall, my spirit will never die either. This is why everyone will make a handprint in the wall. So when I read that, it just gave me chills because it just reminds me of how important every single person is and how special we all are, and that we do have an opportunity to carry forward to future generations what that essence is. And so that brings me to our very special guest today. Her name is Vera Anderson, and she is a dynamic legacy coach and creator of the intentional legacy model. She specializes in working with international business leaders and family office principals, helping them create customized solutions to reach their full potential in business and personal life, remove mindset blocks, and empowering them to create an intentional, multi-generational legacy. So thank you so much for coming on the show today, Vera. This is awesome.
Hi, Cynthia. Hello, everybody.
So this concept of creating a legacy, how did you even get involved in this? How did this all start for you?
It's a journey like any other, and it started with my realizing that when I accomplished a goal that I have set for myself back in high school, and it became a reality. My goal was to become an international executive, and At that point, I was living in London. I was part of a multinational organization at leadership level, and I was not happy. I was drained. I was unfulfilled. I didn't even realize that I have accomplished this goal. And so the process and the journey for me started with this question: is there something more? Can I live my life and feel like I am fulfilled during the journey, not just at the very end? Because the destination, when I arrived there, felt very, very empty. So I've changed the way that I work, I've changed the way that I live. And the whole concept of legacy came through the work that I've been doing with my clients. And the way that I look at legacy is not something that you leave behind. It's not something that is there at the end. It's actually the way you live your entire life. It's the way you show up every single day in your business, in your family, in your relationships. So if you recognize that you're creating legacy every single day, including today, how would you want to behave? How would you want to act? How would you want to live? Not just for others and out of obligations, but for yourself. And so
Mm.
that's the journey, and that's where I help my clients to arrive to some clarity and really honest answers.
Yeah, I love that. So I love the concept too of thinking in that way, because yeah, a lot of times we look at goals and we think, okay, I'll be happy when, and we put things into the future so much that we forget that the where the power is in the present.
Absolutely.
So and the present is very uncertain for a lot of us right now. We're thrown into this situation that none of us were really expecting, and it's like, wow, okay. But I look at it from more of that spiritual perspective of, okay, anytime we either get sick or have something fall apart, it's just the universe's way of saying, let's redirect our energy inward for a little bit. And let's focus on, yeah, what do we want to create instead? So, what would you recommend for people who are just struggling right now or challenged right now? Like, what things would you offer them or tell them to focus on?
Absolutely. Well, let me give you one example and speak to a specific group of people. It's probably going to be a lot of us. People who love staying busy, people who are always busy. Some of us who have multiple events a night, right? And having that busyness gives us an escape from facing some of the truths about our life, about who we are, about how we live, that we don't really want to face. And what I'm seeing in this time frame right now, when all of this activity, all of these social interactions are limited, and people cannot be as busy, and they're starting to slow down, is those who have been running the most are suffering the most right now because they don't know what to do with themselves. And slowing down was never part of their equation. It was never part of their plan. And what happens when you do slow down is all these things that you have been neglecting, right? They have a
For
tendency of
sure.
poking their heads up and being really in your face, and you can't ignore them anymore. So one of the ways to deal with this is to continue staying busy and to jump on all the virtual calls and all the virtual happy hours and take all the webinars. The other is to take this time and really look at the way you live, look at the way you love, look at what's the purpose in your life, what's the passion in your life. And if you're not aligned with those things that feel authentic to you, look at how do you pivot? How do you restructure the way you live your life, the way your daily routine unfolds, who you interact with, what organizations you're involved with, and give yourself permission to change it, to rebrand, to reset, to redesign, however you want to frame it, and create in this moment of uncertainty a very beautiful and very aligned and very meaningful certainty of the future you are creating.
Mm, that sounds really good. Yeah,
Mhm.
that sounds like a much better approach than just staying in that busyness. Because yeah, when you're in that busyness, you're really just you're not thinking about it, right? It's unconscious. It's just, you're flowing, but you're not really asking yourself, why am I doing this?
Yes. And we tend to live very reactively, right? We fall into opportunities. Um, we get invitations we don't want to say no to. We feel uncomfortable saying no to. We end up going, even when we feel like we don't really, it's not going to be beneficial for us. So allowing yourself to step away from all of that, all of the obligations, and really, declutter your life. Look at what belongs there and what doesn't. Are you doing something out of a habit because it's something that you've always done in the past? Um, that may no longer serve you, that may no longer be aligned with who you are or the direction that you want to take your life.
Mm,
So, this is a perfect time to do something radical because we are in such a radical time.
definitely. Yeah, I love that declutter too. It's funny you mentioned that because I just decluttered my entire closet just the other day. And it had been kind of nagging at me for a while, even before we had all this craziness happen around us. But I was like, I really need to just go clean my closet out. And I must have gotten rid of at least, you know, 20 pairs of shoes. I mean, it's almost embarrassing to admit this. But I had, and I took them all over to the Goodwill and I gave them away. But
Mhm.
it's like, somebody else could probably use these. And I never wear them anymore. So it's like, why am I keeping them in my closet? And my closet, even though it's really big, it felt cluttered and small. And it
Mhm.
was like, it shouldn't feel like this. And now it feels amazing. I'm just like, I walk in there, I'm like, wow, I have so much room. It's awesome.
Well, and if you're following feng shui practices and methods, um, there is a belief that, if you don't move things around, energy starts stagnating in your home, or
Hmm.
energy starts stagnating in specific areas in your home where you don't pay attention, where you let things settle. And it's not just cleaning and dusting, but it's really taking out things that have some of the, not so pleasant memories, perhaps, or things that are no longer there to spark any kind of positive energy in you. And when you give those things away, when you actually collect all this clutter and take it out of your home, you're inviting new energy in. You give space to new energy. And one incredible practitioner that I talked to here locally in St. Pete, Florida, she suggested that if you want to activate a certain area, a certain quadrant of your home that maybe has to do with your relationships or maybe has to do with your career, move 27 things in that space.
Hmm.
But she said if you want to go a step further, remove 27 things out of that space and remove them out of your home.
Hmm.
So again, it's a matter of managing your energy, and decluttering works to the physical with physical spaces like your home, your office, which is a big topic of conversation now. How do you create an office in your home? How do you create that environment that fosters productivity, that lets you be um, as productive as you have been in the past, but also allows you to disconnect and allows you to enjoy working? So that's a different topic. But you
For
also
sure.
want to declutter your mind, right? If
Mm.
you let go of certain things that no longer serve you, if you change and shift your perspective from negative to positive, or from what's not available to me to, oh, actually, success is available to me. Love is available to me. Living a fulfilling life is available to me. That changes the way you interact in the world. It changes in the way you interact with your peers, with your clients, with your family. And it's important to do, because we do have these old beliefs that we hang on to that are ready to be decluttered and out of our minds and out of our bodies, that we don't take the time to process. So again,
Mhm.
perfect time to do some spring cleaning, both your body, your mind, your closet, your home, and come out of this downtime with more energy, with more purpose, with more intention and clarity in terms of what you want to bring into the world, because you're no longer dragged down.
Mm. I love that. I love that whole idea. And yeah, it's so important too when we, I love the idea of the mind, because you're right. Our mind sort of plays tricks on us, right? And we just run those programs. It's all that subconscious that's just driving everything, and it's not necessarily helpful. And a lot of it actually goes all the way back to our childhood. And we carry these programs for forever unless we become conscious of them and aware of them in order to shift them. So I think it's great to yeah, think about what you're thinking about. Be mindful of, am I being fearful? Am I perpetuating fear? Am I, just, and what you focus on expands, right? So it's like, well, why are we constantly focusing on the stress and the doom and the gloom and the it's like, okay, well, I mean, there's bad things that happen every day. When you look at the world, it's like that's part of being on planet Earth, right?
Unfortunately.
Yeah.
But you're right. I mean, it's your responsibility as a human being, as an adult, to monitor what content you take in. It's up to you, what kind of food you put into your body. It's up to you what kind of products do you use, and the cleaner that you live, and you know the less stress that you put on your body, on your spirit, on your mind, clearly is the better. But the other part of being a human is we're extremely resilient. And with
Definitely.
that resilience comes the strength to overcome. So we've got all the tools that we need. We just have to set our mind to it, and really set our mind to what we optimally want to achieve in life. Not just, well, it would be nice to have, this new career next year, or I'd like to get my job back, or, I'd like to double my business size in the next 5 years so I can retire. But really think bigger. Like, what would be incredible? What would be exciting? What would be exhilarating? What would it be like for you to impact 1 billion people on this planet in the positive way before you die?
Mm,
What would that take?
that's a big question. I think that's a question a lot of people don't even ask, you know?
Because it's too big. But if
Yeah.
again, if you go for something huge and seemingly unattainable, shoot for the sun and land on the moon type of principle,
Hmm.
you will accomplish so much more, and you will have so much more joy, and you will have so much more stretch, right? You will be
Mm-hmm.
challenged in a way that you haven't imagined, but you would also learn how strong and resilient and how powerful you really are.
Mm. Yeah, definitely. That's very eye-opening. Because yeah, sometimes we're either we think we can't do it, right? Like that's a common, like who am I to do that? But when we look at the reality, it's like, okay, every single person who came to the planet was at some point just like you. Like, we were all babies, we were all, helpless. We had, no special opportunities necessarily. We all kind of grow from that, but it's what we create in every single day.
Mhm.
And so people with that bigger vision, that's what they can work with and create. So why can't we all do that? Right?
Absolutely. And it's give yourself permission to do that. Give yourself permission to pursue your passions in life. Not necessarily quit your job and, go on a world trip right away. Maybe, be financially responsible, but it's also not limit yourself by saying, oh, I can't do that, or I'm too busy, right? If it's something that's really meaningful to you, allow yourself to explore something like that. And you know, I keep going back to the Trinity, if you will. It's mind, body, and spirit, right? You have to have alignment, you have to have balance, you have to have energy, and you have to have health in all of those in all of those areas. You can't be healthy if your body's not healthy. You can't be healthy if your mind is not healthy. And you can't be healthy if your spirit's not healthy. So address those things in the way that are authentic and aligned to you, so you have all of your powers, so that you have access to everything you're capable of. And engage with others, especially right now. Things are changing, things are different, but we're still here, we're still humans. And I think this is the first time in the entire life of this planet that the entire human race is united against a common enemy that's not another tribe.
Hmm.
So we should take advantage of that. Get to know people, get to know other cultures, reach out. There's so much access right now. And everybody's open, everybody's feeling vulnerable, everybody wants to be heard and understood, and everybody's craving connection. So reach out and speak to people you might not speak with regularly, or those friends or those connections that you've made years ago. This is an opportunity to really reconnect and find out what other people are challenged with, and offer your advice, offer your solutions. Um, be there to support each other. Um, that's what will make you feel whole. That's what will make you feel like you're doing something meaningful.
Mm. Yeah, coming back to that space of service is always where we find the most fulfillment, right?
Absolutely. And it's
Mm-hmm.
giving without expectations. That's the
Mm-hmm.
that's the game for today. It's not um, conventional sales. If you're in business, it's not conventional employment. It's all about bringing in compassion, bringing in kindness. And my prayer for the world is that we do become more kind and more compassionate uh, once we're um, out of this challenging time, and that we appreciate each other more, and we appreciate the nature, we appreciate time with our family, and that we're able to heal some of the relationships that we have neglected in the past, and be healthier and happier for it.
Mm. I love that. Yeah, it's just all about finding that real balance because, yeah, you're right. I don't think a lot of us were in balance before. And this is sort of like forcing us to rebalance. And it creates, it's sort of like the universe is creating the space for us,
Yes,
right? So,
yes.
yeah.
There are no mistakes.
No, I don't believe that either. Yeah, there's purpose in everything. And there's a purpose for each and every one of you out there listening. There's a greater purpose for your life. It absolutely matters. You matter. Everyone matters. And it's, this is a great conversation just to remember that And let's all remember that we have a bigger purpose for being here on this planet. And when we can tap into that, you know, I can only imagine how the world can be different and how amazing it can be when we're all living in that space. So that's truly the legacy energy, right? Because when we're that authentic every single day, like how would that be to be that authentic? That would be amazing, I think.
Well, and if you're living your life not to please others or to chase the money, but purely out of the joy of it, and and out of love for yourself and for others, it has a completely different quality. And the way you interact, the way you take care of yourself, the way you take care of others, the way that you lead, uh, becomes very different.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's true. Yeah, I have a new question that keeps coming into my head like constantly. And the question is, what would love do? And it's like, so anytime I struggle with something myself, it's like, what would love do? And that helps actually direct me to the right answer, or just to be more compassionate, or happier. All of those things come through when I ask that question.
Absolutely. Well, because
Yeah.
you can't be love and fear at the same time.
No, you cannot. Definitely not. So, yeah,
Beautiful question.
this is great. So why don't you tell us a little bit about the people that you work with, and who you're helping, and I'd like to know also about your vision for where you're going with things.
Absolutely. So the people that I work with are typically business owners, people who have reached a certain level of success, and they thought that that was going to be their Mount Everest, and they arrived there and they didn't find that fulfillment. It felt just as empty. They felt more worried, and in some cases, they even felt more lost because they thought, well, this was going to be the answer to all of my questions, to all of my troubles, and it's not, and I don't even know where to look for the answer next. So I work with people who have accomplished quite a bit, and they're looking for that sense of fulfillment and what it would take for them to experience that on a daily basis, and how to reach their full potential both in their business and in their personal life. Um, so that all becomes part of the process that I take them through. That also involves decluttering and managing energy levels and execution and strategic planning, but in a very authentic and simplified way. So that's the process, I guess, in the nutshell. In terms of other parts of the work that I do, I also mentor university students. So I work with some startups, and it helps me to balance out and really see the differences and similarities with people who are just starting out their business and those who have very strong, mature, multinational businesses as well. And it really doesn't matter what stage of business you're in. What matters is what kind of routines you have set up and what kind of lifestyle you've arranged. So as an example, if you're a startup business, right? Most of us get into a startup environment because we want to have no limit on our income. We want to have more time and flexibility, and we want to have we want to be our own boss, right?
Mm-hmm.
What
Yeah.
happens when we're in it is we don't have a regular paycheck. We work more hours. We get
Yes.
less pay.
Yes, totally.
We're worn out, right?
Mhm.
And we feel like we're constantly putting out fires instead of really being strategic about our business. And that has to do with your mindset. What have you decided that you're going to build? So if you decide I'm going to create a business when I'm constantly busy, that's what you will end up with. If you make a strategic plan that only allows time for your business and zero time for your friends, family, and your health, that's the life you're going to have. You can also choose to create a lifestyle business where your business and your life are symbiotic, where one accommodates the other and vice versa, where they're more fluid. And that's what you will have. So it really has to do with the intention that you set for your life, intention that you set for your business, and the outcomes that you're trying to create.
Yeah, I love that. That makes perfect sense. Yeah, I actually started scheduling time with my husband because I wanted to make sure I had enough time that I was spending with him. So otherwise, I could work 7 days a week and be, just like you described, really super busy.
Mhm.
And it's like, that's not really healthy. So, yeah, so I started actually scheduling my husband into my calendar, and it's like, oh, that feels so much better.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, think about what else can you schedule in? What else is important to you that you're not currently doing or not doing consistently
Mm-hmm.
that you can also fit into your calendar?
Yeah.
So for
Abs-
some people, it can be working out,
mm-hmm.
right?
I do already schedule that. Luckily, I've got a pretty strict regimen on that. So yeah, and I love working out. So that's a passion for me.
That's a
Yeah,
big one for a lot of people.
yeah, it
The
is.
other one is spending time with children. When you're not in the virus environment, when you're just living your regular life,
Mm-hmm.
maybe it's spending extra 20 or 30 minutes uh, with your child in the morning or at night. Putting
Mm-hmm.
that into your schedule and making it a priority really makes a difference because ultimately, again, that time you invest in the relationship will pay off in the future, and that's going to be your legacy with your child.
Absolutely. Yeah, and it'll, as the child gets older and they look back, they'll be so grateful for that time, especially as the parent gets older. I look back on some of the times I had with my dad. He passed last year. So it's like, yeah, what did we do when I was a kid? We had our special time together that was so valuable. And I'm grateful that we had that.
Absolutely, and that it also impacted the relationship you had as adults.
Hmm. Yeah, for sure. It definitely makes a difference. So yeah, I love
And
that.
it can be as small as 30 minutes a day.
Yeah, yeah. It doesn't have to take up your whole day. It just needs to be on the calendar. So that's awesome. Okay, so great. So, how do people work with you, and how do they reach you?
Well, the best way to connect with me is on LinkedIn. I'm very active there, and I post a lot of content um, in terms of helpful tips and information. And it's a good way to get to know me. And you can find me there under Vera Anderson with SON, and the title is Legacy Coach. And my website is globalelementsconsulting.com.
Okay, wonderful. Well, thank you so much for coming on today. It's been really delightful speaking with you and getting to know you. And definitely, I love your energy, and what you stand for is it's awesome and amazing. So thank you for your services and your commitment. So
Thank you. It's been a pleasure. And thank you for all of your insights.
thank you. And remember, everyone out there, to live life with love, passion, and purpose. And have a wonderful day, everyone.
Thank you for listening to Love in Your Hands. Please rate, review, and subscribe to show your support. Have a question for Cynthia? Just post a comment. This podcast is sponsored by loveinyourhands.com, the place to find soulmate love fast. Start your free Soul Connection membership today, upload your hand photo, discover your relationship archetype, and start finding soulmate matches. Just go to loveinyourhands.com to get started.